Okay, hopefully going to take one attempt at this video, kind of talking about nutrition for strength training to maximize your strength growth, right? So it's going to look a little different if you're capping yourself at a body weight for a weight class, eating at maintenance, but I think a lot of the same principles apply. This is kind of a topic that I've dodged around talking on because nutrition is a contentious enough topic, and I don't like arguing on the internet. It really ruins my day. And it's outside my scope of practice. What I studied in school is exercise physiology, and while I did take classes on nutrition, I'm not a dietitian, so I didn't really feel super comfortable speaking on it. But someone asked me, what do I do? And I can speak on that. Like, what are the core tenets of nutrition that have helped me get stronger? A little bit of bro science, a little bit of real science, a little bit of observation from people bigger and stronger than me. Right, so the core tenets of what I do that I really feel helps me get stronger, because I've always said for myself, I like to train hard, right? I like training is the best part of my day. Eating is the hard part. That's the thing that dictates my progress more so than anything else is how frankly for me, how much I'm pushing the food, but that's because I'm someone who struggles to gain weight. So the core tenets of like what I would say are important is, one is increasing your meal frequency. I just don't think 3 meals is optimal. I certainly think you can get stronger eating 3 meals, 2 meals. Just telling you what I think. If you're someone who's like, I want to see better progress in the gym and I'm already training hard, what can I do? I would say to increase your meal frequency. There's a couple reasons you can want to do that. One is because it's better for your digestion, right? Multiple smaller feeding windows seems to be better for your digestion than less larger ones, right? The second one is going to be the fact that you're probably going to be able to get down more food in 6 feeding windows than 3, right? Pretty simple. Just hard to eat 3 really big meals without feeling lethargic and bloated like shit, right? And then the other one is that more protein feeding windows throughout the day and seems to elevate your like protein synthesis for longer throughout the day and probably increases your hypertrophic response to training, right? So more protein feeding windows is going to be important, right? So I would look at bumping, you can ramp it up just like you're training, right? Is if you're going from 3 meals, go to 4. Do that until you're comfortable with it. For my definition of a meal, I try to make sure that there is a protein source with every single meal. It doesn't count as a meal if it doesn't have a protein source, right? I try to bump my protein intake to minimum 1 gram per pound of body weight. I go above that. That's something that's not validated by the research, but I think there are important contingencies on that research. The fact that they're beginners, they're probably not training as hard as maybe some of us are. A lot of really good bodybuilders anecdotally observe that they grow better at 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. So I usually favor pushing the protein a little bit. Worst case scenario, you're just wasting a little bit of money, and you're eating more meat, which God forbid, but like best case scenario, you're getting some gains that a lot of people are missing out on, right? So I'm gonna bump that protein intake across more feeding windows across the day, maybe ramp that up with time. I am generally a proponent of eating as much true clean food as you can. Generally speaking, like, I really don't understand what people mean when they say clean food, and so that's why I've always preferred the term whole foods. Like foods that are ingredient list is just itself. So an orange, the ingredient is orange, right? So on and so forth. Beef. There's a lot of arguments you can get into about that. There's nothing that's inherently better than those, but generally they tend to be a little bit higher in the like nutrient density category, which goes a long way, because one of the most important things we can do is avoid nutrient deficiencies, right? So what I would look at is increasing the number of feeding times you get throughout the day, having a high protein count throughout that, ramping up the amount of clean food you can process and turn through, because you hear a lot of really good bodybuilders say that their most productive off seasons are the ones that they got their metabolism the highest and they were churning through the most clean food. And this is something that I've found for myself as well, is when my metabolism is at its highest and I'm just having to eat so much just to maintain weight, that also is when I'm getting very strong. I don't have any physiological basis for this. I don't know why, but I find that when my metabolism is very high and I'm pushing through large physical quantities of food just to maintain or to grow, I tend to get stronger much faster than I do at other times, right? So the goal is to ramp up to that. That is the end goal, is to be basically churning through as much physical quantity of food as you can while maintaining a high protein intake. You know, you can structure your carbs around your training, but when you're in this bulking mindset of ramping your food, usually you wouldn't want to limit your carbs to around your workouts like someone might do if their carbs throughout the day are limited, right? You're going to probably want to put carbs with every single meal because they're easier to eat, frankly. And so when you kind of break it down, and I guess the last tenet would be like, okay, so you're trying to increase your metabolism, you're trying to eat frequently, ramp up the quantity of clean food that you're eating through the day, and almost progressively overload that, barring in mind that you don't want to get overly fat, right? Because a lot of your metabolic processes will suffer if you have too much adipose tissue, right? So, you know, barring that in mind, you're ramping up. What else do we want to do? We want to avoid nutrient deficiency, so eating nutrient-dense foods, red meats, cruciferous vegetables, you know, with each meal probably if you can stomach it, you know, nuts, anything with high nutrient density throughout the day, and making sure you take a look and make sure you're getting most of your nutrients throughout the day. Maybe put an Excel sheet, make sure you're kind of checking off a lot of those sources. You know, and so that would be kind of my core tenets. And then, you know, when you break it down, you say, okay, well, I've got to be turning through a lot of food, so I'm going to eat things that I like or things that I digest well, right? So you say, okay, first we're going to do the easy one. I'm going to select a carb source. For most people, that's going to be rice, just because of its ease of digestion. Preferably white rice because you digest it faster. You know, there's drawbacks to brown rice. A, it's going to cause a lot of indigestion in most people, so it's going to be very, very difficult to go through large quantities of it. B, there's probably more arsenic in it. And C, you know, it's got more micronutrients, but if you're trying to get your micronutrients from rice, you're an idiot. You should probably be looking to get that from something else, right? Because either way, you're not going to get very much. So, you know, it's not too much of an L to eat white rice. But like 1 in 4 people seem to really, really digest potatoes well, on top of the fact that it's a great potassium source, which I think is a core electrolyte that a lot of powerlifters come up short on. So working potatoes in there, if there's something you can stomach. Sweet potatoes is a great carb source. Oats is one, again, is very individual, and a lot of people, it's just like their appetite goes to shit after they eat them, so it wouldn't be great. And then sparingly, you can use pasta if you're someone who really likes pasta and struggles with appetite. That can certainly be an option, but those are the central ones, right? We're trying to learn for bodybuilders, right? We need bigger muscles because they have the potential to be stronger muscles. Let's look to the guys who specialize in building muscles, right? Protein sources, you know, you're basically just looking at the basics, right? You're looking at eggs because they've got a great amino acid profile. You're looking at chicken because it's cheap. You're looking at beef. If you can stomach it, it's very, very good. Or, you know, any ruminoids. Lamb is also great. Bison is great because they've got much higher nutrient densities than chicken, but also you have to be money conscious, right? I would rather you get your full protein allotment than less than that, but get it in beef, right? Dairy products can be good for a lot of people, but obviously not great for others, you know, so whether that be just getting it from milk or cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, you know, you're going to select, I like to say, at least 3 protein sources. If you're budgeting, which I've done for most of my life, you know, it can be a little difficult, but diversifying that a little bit, I think, tends to pay dividends as far as avoiding nutrient deficiencies. If you can't afford to eat red meat every meal, maybe you go half your meals red meat, half of them chicken. It's a great way to save money. That's what I do currently. You know, I'm not exactly the richest guy in the world. I think that goes a long way. And then you do need to make sure you quickly examine. You say, okay, well, if I'm drinking whole milk, I'm probably going to come up good on fat. I don't have to put much thought into that. But if you're eating a lot of chicken or, like, I forgot, fish, salmon's great because it does have good fatty acids, but also, like, tilapia doesn't have much of anything but protein, right? So if you're eating, like, say you're eating chicken and tilapia, you're probably going to come up shy on your fats, so you might have to supplement by, you know, throwing some olive oil onto your rice and meat, or maybe just eating some almonds. You know, peanut butter isn't the worst thing in the world, and you're just going to build your diet based on the things that you enjoy to eat and that sit well with you, and you're just going to ramp that up with time as you get bigger and stronger. Your metabolism gains the quantity of food that you eat should gain with that, in my opinion.